So the embassy will always stand ready to support states and cities, et cetera, who come to visit us, because our interest is really shared prosperity for Kenyans and Americans alike. I think this visit in particular is really exciting because there are so many common priorities. When we look at Kenya, its leadership in AI, in green energy, in agriculture, California's interest in smart agriculture, energy generation. I hear they do some tech, just a little bit, and creative economy, which is something we engaged you with, sir, in Atlanta during the state visit. Was very exciting.
That's correct.
We live in a world where the world order is changing. It'll take about 5 to 10 years for it to settle down, and there will be a set of key states which decide whether we tilt towards multilateral cooperation or perhaps a bit more multipolar transaction, and Kenya is certainly one of those countries.
If you're observing closely what's happening globally, you realize that most Western countries, the European countries at large as well, are dangling a lot of good, beautiful, amazing gifts and promises and pledges to developing countries. And Kenya is literally at the heart of this. I was actually going through the speech of Finland President Alexander Stubb when he came to Kenya. There's a part where he says he's trying to even compare the population of Kenya with Finland. For us here, we are at 56 million. For his country, it's a little bit slightly lower. But what captured my attention that was striking was the part where he says we are living in a world where it's going to change in a sense that it's going to take up to 5 to 10 years for countries to be at par in terms of reshaping, installing and structuring the new world order. And it was interesting as well because I remember the president was also in China and he mentioned the same phrase, new world order. Maybe it's just a phrase or it's a buzzword, so to say. Because when you look at before, anything that had to do with the New World Order, before we even arrived in such a season and dispensation where, the New World Order now means a global platform where both parties or both, let's say, contenders have equal voices and opportunities in terms of, raising concerns, making decisions that affect core and key areas that include, the types of the SDGs that have been, spearheaded by United Nations. And I'm getting actually to the United Nations in just a bit. But core ingredients like the health sector, trade deals, industrialization, and now technology that encompasses, artificial intelligence. Such platforms would give equal voices and chances and even opportunities for countries to come up together at a centralized center where possibly they could be taking command, or listening to a specific world leader who's at the center, running this, nucleus of decision making in terms of countries adhering to health regulations, directives, and even seeking funding or financing for that matter. Issues that have to do with matters around climate action. I understand this year COP30 is happening in Belém, in Brazil. And of course, the biggest highlight is financing climate action entrepreneurship, infusing artificial intelligence and thus tech literally at large. But for Africa, we're looking at mitigating, combating, or even adapting. But anyways, also what are the opportunities that are there for us as Africans, and most specifically the youth, which is literally the biggest demographic across the globe, geopolitically, so to say, as well. Now, yesterday I was looking at a speech as well that I'd say it's an address that was done by now the new U.S. Envoy to Kenya. I believe the ambassador to Kenya, that is Carla Benini. She says that Kenya is a strategic country that gives the vibe and the ambience of good and best interests and also dreams and visions of what the United States stands for. And specifically when she pointed out about matters, agri-tech, agriculture, climate action, and she pointed out how California is literally embracing agri-tech in terms of using technology to spearhead for agricultural production. We've largely for the longest time said, Kenya, the backbone of Kenya, the Republic of Kenya, and our people, my people, is agriculture. So, what a good way to actually, dangle these gifts. But one thing for sure, I'd like us to, arrive to a place where maybe we are able to make decisions independently without having prominent Western voices that infuse, dilute, or diffuse, or even just, having, because the reason why that is important is that it allows us to actually have our own internal, compass in terms of having an independent global voice on what we want and what we don't want, especially when it comes to now borrowing, the third eye of, other Western countries. But shout out, I love Donald Trump. Donald Trump is my best friend in my head. I love the shock jock mentality, personality he has, like his stance on business. But it's also interesting because Donald Trump has played a huge role in terms of trying to broker peace deals with some of these warring countries that include the DRC. And in fact, they are vouching for him to be awarded the Nobel Prize. I love him to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize because there's something interesting about DRC in as much as all these warfares are believed to be Western or European funded, but they are prominent at producing some of these rare earth minerals that include, the cobalt that's massively needed to produce tech gadgets, these computer chips and whatnot. And the Silicon Savannah is literally best in the United States. And when you look at Apple and what they're using, even with the robotics and everything that has to do around artificial intelligence, it's best in the United States. And so Donald Trump is that kind of person who will he will literally ensure that he becomes your best friend so that he benefits. Yani anakula kwenye, you put your mouth where your money is. And that's why I love Donald Trump. I'd even love to actually interview him or have a conversation with him, because that kind of mentality is more of like self-interest. Like, what am I gaining from you? Yes, I'm your friend, but what is in there for me in our friendship? But again, when it comes to the New World Order, it's a little bit controversial because even starting 2026 and end of this year 2025, Kenya is set to host all the United Nations offices that include United Nations agency offices, United Nations Women, UNICEF, UNFPA, United Habitat as well, and many other offices as well. So this just shows you that Kenya is one of those countries that is receptive to, global, or rather open, with open arms in receiving, all the good things that global countries or in the international forum, international platforms as well, when it comes to some of the decisions that they're making in terms of trying to infuse what they want, especially when it comes to matters health. You remember Carla Benini as well has insisted and urged the government to support the new HIV vaccine, which we had is spearheaded by Bill Gates. Bill Gates has had a lot of tremendous accomplishments right here in our country. So many projects he's running that have been life-changing, but there's been low-key undertones of question marks if these things are linked to control, depopulation or population control, and then now infuse artificial intelligence, and now infuse all those things, that all these other semantics and this seismic shift. But also it's shocking to see how African Americans are exiting some of these European countries, and some of them are settling in Kenya. It's really striking, interesting. I don't know what you feel about the very same. I'd like to hear from you.